Welcome, everybody, to episode 101 of Disney with the Ducks. Tonight, you've got me, John Kroll, and with me, I've got Jeff,
Hey, everybody.
Kevin,
Hey, guys.
Jody,
Hi, friends.
and Lonnie.
Hey, everybody.
All right, guys. Well, tonight we're going to be having some good discussion about races coming back to California, and part of that is there was a theme with the 5K, and it was dog related. So tonight our question is going to be dog related, which we know Jody loves dogs. So Jody, we're going to start with you. What is your favorite cartoon dog?
Has to be Lady from Lady and the Tramp. It's my favorite. I like a lot of Disney dog movies. I like a lot of dog cartoons and dog movies in general, but Lady and the Tramp is by far my favorite, and Lady's my favorite. So gotta go with Lady and the Tramp. My favorite dog is a girl dog, and I wanted to name her Lady, but I got outvoted. So
what is her name?
Nala from the Lion King.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. She's a cute dog too.
She's a fluffy golden retriever. Yes.
So Lady, born into a rich family, right? Had no struggles in life. And then there's Tramp, who pulls himself up out of living on the streets. He's real resourceful, and he marries up. So I don't know.
Lady learned. She learned. Okay. She opened her eyes to everyone else and wanted to be a part of their world and take it all in. And she was very welcoming to them all after she, figured, realized that it's okay. So, I got to give her some props for that. She just didn't stay in her little glass bubble. She reached out across the aisle and said, we can all be friends. So
I don't think you should critique John, Jody. You should just be happy you watched a movie and can have a conversation.
Yeah, that's true.
Just let his opinion ride and don't just let it be.
I did watch Lady and the Tramp finally, and my girls loved it. So I liked it too. I mean, it was good. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, for sure.
There you go.
So it definitely it kept my attention, which is all you can ask for. All right, Lonnie, what about you? You've got some really cool dogs. What's your favorite cartoon dog, though?
My cartoon dog is, and John, you can relate to this. It's Muffin Cupcake Healer. That's her whole name. And she is Bluey and Bango's cousin, who likes to throw tantrums, and who is the favorite. Anytime she's on an episode of Bluey, that's considered that one of my favorite ones because she is the best. So I'm going with Muffin Healer.
All right, that's a solid choice. I like it.
Yeah, especially Granny Muffin when she dresses as a granny.
She's an angry granny.
Yeah, angry Granny Muffin.
That is one of the best episodes ever of any show. But definitely a Bluey.
Academy Award winning performance.
It really should have. I think it's a travesty that it didn't win. Mm-hmm. All right, Kevin, what's your favorite cartoon dog?
It's not a Disney character, but if it was, it would still be my favorite. But I've got I love a lot of the Disney dogs, but growing up, my favorite dog was always Scooby-Doo. I love Scooby-Doo. He's hilarious. I love how he gets scared of everything and then eats a Scooby snack and goes and runs in and can take on the world, and then just kind of they get into the silly chases and he eats all the food, and I love Scooby. He's hilarious. I had a little stuffed Scooby-Doo when I was a kid. So
a Scooby snack is kind of like goo on mile 12 of a marathon.
It really is. Yeah, it gives you that extra boost.
Nice. I'm a big fan of Shaggy. I think him and Scooby would be fun to hang out with.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. They'd be a good time.
I guess the question is, does Scooby really talk, or is it just in their head?
It might just be in their head. Yeah. I guess I never thought of it that way.
Depends on how many Scooby snacks they eat.
That's true.
Exactly.
Shaggy doesn't seem to take it easy on the Scooby snacks. So
he just kind of eats them all and then eats a bunch of food. So
yeah.
Right.
Oh man, Scooby. That's a show I haven't watched enough of lately. I got to get my kids into that.
My kids love it still. And then we watch the same ones that I watched as a kid. And, when they have all the fun, the co-stars on there, Don Knotts and people like that, it's really funny. So
awesome. All right. Jeff, what's your favorite cartoon dog?
I'm going to pull a John and cheat on this one. I'm going to give my favorite Disney cartoon dog, which would be Dodger. I am a big Billy Joel fan, and he was the voice of Dodger in Oliver and Company. adventures that they get into during the movie, and I really like Dodger. And for my non-Disney version, I will go with Odie. He's
Oh,
just a
yeah.
hapless dog that gets completely pummeled by Garfield all the time. The poor,
Feels
he
so
just wants a
bad.
friend, and I relate to that. You know,
Yeah, he's always getting mistreated.
right. He just wants the
wrong.
friend. He just wants to be there. Wants to be a part of stuff, and just
Right.
completely abused.
I was called Jody Odie Coyote my entire life, always by everybody. Jody Odie.
I wish
Coyote.
I'd known this earlier.
Yeah, me too.
Now you know Jody Odie Coyote.
Jody Odie.
Jody Odie Coyote. Yep.
Nice. All right. My favorite cartoon dog, probably not surprisingly, is Bandit. From Bluey. I love him. I think he's the best dad. I think he's real. I love how he portrays like dads as not just some bumbling idiot, but somebody who interacts with the kids and plays games and helps take care of them, like our dad in real life does.
Yeah.
Not your typical stereotypical sitcom dad from the 80s type of thing. So I love him. I think he's hilarious, and I think he makes me a better dad watching him. So that's my choice. All right. So I kind of alluded to it in the intro, but tonight we're going to be talking about the Disneyland Half Marathon Weekend. And tonight we're going to focus on the expo, and then we're going to talk about the 5K. So we are going back to Cali, as the notorious B.I.G. once said. So, as obviously one of the greatest poets of our generation, he was right. The Ducks are going back to California. Maybe some of us for the first time, right? So
First time, yeah.
I guess, so the expo, the first day there, right? Was there anything that happened, I guess, in your travels on the way to California that we want to bring up? So Jeff, how was the trip from Ohio to Southern California for you?
Completely uneventful, no issues at all. We got in on Tuesday afternoon. We were there before anybody else got there as far as our podcast crew. We checked into the hotel. We didn't do any park time. We explored Disney Spring. We explored downtown Disney. Sorry, they teach you to Disney World did not use downtown Disney for years, and then I finally go west and I have to use that again. It's hard to change that. We met up with Sarah and her family and had dinner at what's the restaurant we had breakfast at that I miscounted everybody?
Yes.
Storytellers.
Yes,
Storytellers.
Storytellers.
So we had dinner with that and just called it a night.
No, was that a Disney restaurant? Was it in downtown Disney? Okay.
It's inside the Grand Californian.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So how was that? How was dinner there?
Good. It probably would have been better if we weren't on the road since 3 a.m. driving in a white knuckle snowstorm to get there and just completely crashed. So by the time we got dinner at 6 o'clock was really 9 o'clock Ohio time. So it was a good meal, but we were ready for bed.
Okay. Fair. All right. So Kevin, how about you? You were coming from Tennessee, right? How did things go?
So no, like Jeff, ours was uneventful. I will say that I scheduled a pickup to get to the airport, and they didn't show up, and I've never had that happen. They got about 5 minutes from my house when I needed to leave, and then they just disappeared off the map. So they must have gone through a wormhole or something like that. I don't know. But
Was this an Uber or Lyft or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they just disappeared. So I jump in my Jeep, take off to the airport. And I'm like, that's fine, but I don't have time to wait for another ride. And hop on the plane, no problem, fly, go through. I went through Phoenix and then landed in Long Beach. So took an Uber from there over to the hotel and dropped my bags.
Okay,
And
so you guys flew into different airports then, right? Jeff, where did you fly into?
We went from Pittsburgh to Vegas to Long Beach.
Oh, okay. So you both ended up in Long Beach. Okay. So how was the drive from Long Beach to Disneyland?
25 minutes is fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really not bad.
Yeah, super easy.
Okay. That's a good option then for people, because whenever I think of going to Disneyland, I think of flying into LAX. And yeah, Long Beach is such a better option. So much smaller, easier to get in and out of, everything.
It's really cool, the airport. I really liked it because some portions of the airport is actually outside. Like some of the concourse areas and stuff, open air, which is kind of cool.
We're pretty sure we had to unload the plane ourselves. We were
Yeah,
waiting
you
for them
pretty
to
much do. You walk downstairs to get out of the plane. So
you exit onto the tarmac. Joe's
Yeah.
standing there with the bag, just handing you your bags as you come off the plane.
right.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was an experience.
All right. Jody, how about you? What, you flew from Cincinnati?
We did. We flew Delta from Cincinnati to Atlanta, and we flew into Orange County, John Wayne Airport. And we actually got a car because we were going to visit friends of mine from college. So we grabbed, and it was easier to have a car for the day than it was to do like 3 different Uber trips. So grabbed the car, went to visit them, had a great visit with them. And then drove the car back to the hotel. And right when we were pulling into the hotel, Jeff and Riley were right there on the corner. So that was super fun. Tim was texting them from my phone.
Tim was texting.
He was texting. I was not. Thank you very much. I was driving. Tim was texting. And it was just funny to see them like on this street corner as we were pulling in. So we were honking the horn and acting like goofballs. I will say we all stayed at the same hotel. I'll just give it a quick info. I was pleasantly surprised by the Howard Johnson.
I really liked it.
Yeah,
I think Tim thought we were going to like back up the car to a motel with like a sketchy door and 1-ply toilet paper and, all the scariness. It was not that at all. Our room actually had double pane glass twice to try to absorb some of the highway noise. So it was not just one part of glass, but another whole section of glass. So it was fairly quiet. It was a nice room. It was clean. I have nothing bad to say. We stayed in the tower because Joe told me to stay in the tower. So we did. We were on the 5th floor. We did not have a theme park room view. I know other people did. We did not, but it was nice. So then we took a little nap. We got cleaned up, picked up Riley and Jeff, and dropped the car off at Paradise Pier Hotel, which is really convenient. So if you're doing a one-way rental, Enterprise is the one that does the one-way rental. It was a little confusing. We couldn't quite figure out where to drop off the car, but we finally figured it out. But it's super awesome. Like you drop it off right there at the parking garage in the hotel, and once you figure out where to drop it off. But it's better than driving it back to the. So if you need a car for the day like we did, it was a great option. So.
That's awesome. So you mentioned you expected the hotel to have 1-ply toilet paper. How many plies did we have?
I don't know, but everything about the hotel was much nicer than I expected. So
wonderful. Well, that's really good because you don't need bum issues, right? With a race. So that's awesome. Good to hear. Lonnie, how was your trip over from Arkansas to Southern California?
Hey, like everyone else, mine was uneventful. I just did Southwest, Little Rock to Dallas to SNA. So I flew into John Wayne as well. Very easy, no issues whatsoever. Right, bags came out quick. I was lucky. I was going to catch a Uber over to the airport. I kind of broke my stay up, so I stayed the first night over at the Marriott or the Spring Hill Suites, waiting till Kevin to get there. Kevin and I roomed, so I just went to the Marriott. I was going to call an Uber, but getting off the plane, I ran into Nancy, a Lizard, Teresa, and Phil, and it was like, "Hey, we're staying right by you. Once you hop in the car with us," they rented a van, so I just hopped in the car with them, and they were so kind as to drop me off. Like I say, man, when you're a Lizard, you always have somebody around, right? So they brought me straight to the hotel, and I, checked in, and then kind of relaxed for a minute until it was time to meet up with everybody for dinner.
Man, that's awesome. And like just running into lizards in the wild out there like that. That's so cool.
Yeah. Lizards in the wild, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're not only in Florida, they're all over California too.
Apparently.
So you guys, Jeff, I know you said you and Riley met up with Sarah and her family for dinner. What about the rest of you? Did you guys all have dinner
Tuesday
together?
night.
That was Tuesday night.
That was Tuesday night. Okay.
So Jeff and Riley had day of park all day on Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, and we flew in on Wednesday. By me, I flew in Wednesday, and Jody and Tim flew in on Wednesday as well.
And I flew in on Thursday.
Oh, okay. So Jeff, you got out there. You got out there some extra time for you and Riley to check out the parks. All right, that's awesome. So how did your park day go then? before everybody else got there when it was just you two?
On Wednesday, whenever we got there, we got up early. We rope dropped, which wasn't hard to do. 3-hour time difference again. Getting up in the morning, this wasn't so bad. We met Sarah and her family and kind of wandered around the parks with them for quite a while, rode some rides. Had Genie Plus that went very well for us. I talked to them about DAS out there, and they gave me a slightly different version of it that Disney World doesn't seem to have, where I just walk up to the ride and they tell me the time to come back, and either they put my name on a list or they scan our park tickets on the phones, and I just come back and go right in through the back door basically, and they put you right on. Sometimes if the line's not too long, they just say do it now, and they put me on right then. So it worked out very well.
Okay, so that is Disney World. They'll put it in your app, right? So you'll
Right.
have the time.
They have that version available, but for what I needed, they said this would work better for me. So
Awesome. That's great that they have that option,
Mhm.
especially with issues with breathing and that type of thing. It gives you a
Yeah,
chance to
working
go
out.
rest, and yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so Tuesday or Wednesday, you spent all day at Disneyland Park. Did you go over to California Adventure too, or?
We did. It's very easy to do there. I have always heard from everybody that the parks are close and it's easy to do, and you don't understand that until you're actually there and you're standing on the Esplanade, and you're in the middle, and I can throw a baseball from one side to the other. I mean, both. It's so easy and convenient for that. So yeah, we
Yeah, and
explored a little bit of both.
so was it anybody's first time at Disneyland?
It was ours.
Oh, it was? Okay, and
Mhm.
Kevin, you too? Okay, so Kevin, what were your first thoughts when you first got to the Disneyland parks?
I like Jeff. I'd heard that they're close by like that, and that it's all very compact. And it's kind of plopped in the middle of the city, and you don't really get that until you're actually there. And it is literally like almost like if you know Superman, whenever they shrunk the city of Kandor and put it in a little globe. It's almost like that, except you're like you circle around and you're like, this is just a normal city, and then you're like right there. It's just like in the middle of the city. I mean, it's really weird.
I-4 is on the other side of Toontown, or
Right.
I-5. Like
The
I-5.
interstate's right there. There's
right up there.
McDonald's is across the street. I mean, you've got Panera Bread. I mean, you got Target. You've got other things like right there, within walking distance of Disneyland. It's crazy. So,
It is a much different setup than you have in Florida,
but
at Disney World.
not just the parks though, but the fact that Jeff mentioned the Esplanade. The Esplanade also connects to downtown Disney, so it's really like all together. Everything's like right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's such a fun park from that standpoint, right? Because you're right. It's right there. You can decide you want to go over to the other park. It's a 2-minute walk right across the
Mhm.
street. That's really cool. So, okay. So you guys all stayed at the Howard Johnson after Lonnie, you stayed at Marriott first, but then everybody was at the Howard Johnson together.
Well, we all
So,
had our own rooms, but we weren't
oh,
together.
that's too bad. I was really
Or
hoping you guys
Riley
all
had a
bunked together.
bathroom. Riley had a bathroom.
Not that wasn't until later in the trip, Jody.
Okay. Well, no, I was really hoping that I was picturing all of you guys like bunking together and like Jeff and
Slumber
Kevin on the
party.
floor cuddling. Yeah. That
Gene
really
wasn't
ruins
there.
that for me. No, I know, and that's Gene. I think is bummed. I mean, I'm bummed too, but it wasn't.
No, for the cuddles. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the cuddles.
Yeah. No, I love cuddling. But yeah. So okay. So you guys all stayed at Howard Johnson. I know Jody, you said it was much nicer than you thought it was going to be. Give us a little bit, like how far away from the parks was it? Because I think there's a lot of hotels right there, right, that are a couple minute walk.
About a half
So-
mile.
I don't think that's that far, man. I think it's maybe 200 yards. You think if you come out and hit the street, you go down 100 yards or so, then you cross over. I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah, I'd say I was thinking about a half mile by the time you walk through and take a left and a right. And
Oh yeah, if you're going to the park, yeah. But I mean, like for the front where you turn to go into the park, I mean, that's about 100 yards maybe.
I will say when we were there last time, the kids were with us and we stayed at the former, I guess it's still called Paradise Pier Hotel. and so we never left the bubble. We had the kids with us, and that was really important. I will say there's something quite different about leaving the park and suddenly being hit by normalcy, by everyday life, by
Mhm.
Panera Breads and McDonald's and traffic and the good and the bad that comes from humanity, right? Not saying that when you're in the bubble at Disney World that there's not terrible people, because there are, right? But
Yeah.
you lose some of that magic and some of that specialness the second you walk out of the park. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about that, but there's some reality to that. And I think because last time when we were there, we did stay in the bubble and we never left the park. We didn't go to Denny's, we didn't go to the Target, we didn't go anywhere else. It felt very Disney World-esque to us because we stayed within the bubble. This time staying out of the bubble, there were a lot more real world realities the second you left the park. And I think that's just something to think about as Disney World veterans going to the West Coast and staying off property. It's a different feel.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to ask and kind of get your guys' take on what it was like to stay at the resort, that a non-Disney resort, and be able to walk to property, because it does seem like you might lose some of that by doing that, but at the same time you're probably also saving a ton of money versus Disney prices, right? So
You know what? No, I'm gonna say
Really?
I'm gonna call audible in that, because I mean Howard Johnson is, it's different, right? It's nice, but it was what, 380, 390 a night. I mean, you can get you can go to, Pop Century and probably get that, right, and still be in the bubble. So comparing it, right? So yeah, it's Howard Johnson was nice. I like the proximity to the park, but it's not a regular, you think of Howard Johnson, you thinking what, they leave the light on like Motel 6, or is it $150?
That's what.
No,
It's
that's
not
not
like
the
that at
it's
all.
not the same.
Oh,
It's
okay.
you pay like you're paying for Disney World's, value resorts, which
Yeah,
are values.
it's comparable to maybe a Pop Century. I like Pop Century better, but I mean, as far as the quality, it's right up there. It's Disney quality, I think. Like in the room, I mean, you have Disney posters or Disney pictures on the walls and things like that. We did in ours, but
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I expected you guys to say it was like maybe $200 a night or something, because I'm thinking of a like Red Roof Inn type of
not at all.
motel, I should say. Interesting. Okay, and there are other properties along that road too, right? That you can
Right.
stay at, and so I assume they're all similar then, in
Yes.
terms of cost and everything. Okay,
Mhm.
man. Okay, so all right, so we've got checked into the Howard Johnson. Everybody's ready to go. What day was the expo? On Thursday?
Well,
We got to go back, because we actually, when we all landed and got together for the first time, was Wednesday night when we all went to eat. So Jody, why don't you kind of set us up for that
I think you're bearing the lead here, Lonnie.
Okay. So let's all just be real here. We all know that I love signature restaurants, right? It's my jam. To me, it's a special splurge on vacation. I have high expectations because typically those high expectations are met. At California Grill, I have my favorite server named Walter, and everything is, I don't ever leave there thinking, wow, that could have been better, or that should have been better, or that wasn't a great experience. I always, pretty much anytime I've left a signature restaurant, I've had one mediocre signature experience in Walt Disney World, and that was post-pandemic. And I'm going to, like, right after pandemic, and I'm going to give it a little asterisk because I feel like maybe they weren't up to snuff, and that was at Tiffin's. But okay, so I was so excited about this reservation. It was Napa Grill, which is their signature restaurant. It has the word Napa in it. We all know I'm a wine person. Like, everything about this was lights, camera, action, screaming. This is all about Jody and Tim. Like, this is their love language. This is where they shine. This should be their favorite experience known to mankind. It absolutely positively was the polar opposite. It was mediocre to bad. Service was not good. Food was forgettable at best. Tim and I did the quite expensive pairing menu, and it was not great. One of our courses were like fish sticks, like literally fish sticks. Our server, I think Lonnie would give maybe a -5 review. I'll let him talk about that. I absolutely would not do this ever again. I would not recommend it to anyone. I had leftovers I didn't eat, if that tells you how not impressed I was. So I'm
I
gonna
think Riley won the meal. I think Riley's meal.
Riley won the meal. But to get dressed up, I put on fancy shoes. And listen, I didn't like fancy shoes. I packed my fancy shoes in my backpack to put my damn fancy shoes on outside of the restaurant. And I want my gym shoes back. Like I want them to let me have those 2.5 hours and my comfy shoes back on. I gave it a ambiance of a 5 because it was still pretty. Service of a 3.5, food of a 2.5, and value of a 1.
Ooh,
Out of 10. That's a scale of 1 to 10.
man, McDonald's gets more than a 1 on
A
value.
value of a 1. And I know when I walk into a signature meal that I'm going to be paying signature prices. I expect that. I knew what I was getting into, but the value for the bang for the buck was absolutely positively not there. And for the sommelier not to come to our table when I did a wine pairing made me so incredibly angry, I nearly lost my mind. So yeah, that was a great way to start off our trip, right? Yay, Disneyland.
Wow.
Lonnie,
Jody,
do you have any opinions here?
Yeah, do you want to? Well, Jody, do you want to share like how you really felt about the meal?
Okay.
Or no?
I find she sugarcoated it. She needs to let
Yeah.
us know how she really feels. 'Cause
Wow.
Lonnie, you have feelings too. So
Would the meal have been better if there was cheeseburgers, Jody?
that's a good question for Lonnie, not for me.
It would have been. It would have been. Yeah, I'm going to just say ditto to Jody. I didn't even do the wine tasting, but for what we paid for that meal, I think Riley won it with the kids meal.
No,
But
it wasn't a kids meal.
It wasn't a kids meal. They just kind of altered and gave some other stuff to it.
It was still the adult meal, only they threw mashed potatoes and green beans on her plate, and she probably came ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, I would have took those mashed potatoes and stuff. It's funny. I'll just put it like this. I was walking out the restaurant and I was complaining to Tim how I got the pork steak or something like that, and I was complaining to Tim how hard it was, and I was in the middle of complaining, and I said somebody was walking next to us, and I said, "Yeah, and that pork," and he just said, "Wasn't it the greatest thing ever?" And I looked at him and I was like, I think we might have had different pork. And so I guess and I was like, was it me or was expecting more? That guy seemed to love it. So I'm gonna go with Jody on everything that she said in regards to that. Right. It needs to have a cheeseburger too. There's no cheeseburger.
No cheeseburger at a signature restaurant.
None. Can you believe that?
I can.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't because everything else on the menu didn't look too good, right? So I'm just saying.
All
Jeff,
right.
why don't you
Well,
your feedback because you were also there, and Sarah, not Sarah K, but Sarah W was there just to confuse everybody else. But she joined us that night, and I'm sure she regrets saying that she wanted. But Jeff, what was your experience?
Mine was serviceable. I've had much better meals for a lot less money. So, but mine was okay.
no, what did you get, Jeff?
Me and Roddy both had the filet, and I had like 3 tiny little pieces of fingerling potatoes to go with mine. Riley had the filet, which was the adult size as well, and she had like a nice portion of mashed potatoes and green beans that went with hers. Usually when we go to places to eat, I expect to eat a little bit of hers because she never finishes. Unfortunately, this one she decided to, so I was kind of left a little bit disgruntled and hungry, but it was okay.
And Kevin, what did you think of the restaurant?
It sounds really horrible.
Oh, you weren't there? Oh, okay.
I'm now
That sounds
pretty
horrible.
glad that I didn't come until Thursday.
Oh yeah, Thursday. Okay. Napa Grill.
Homo from that one for sure.
Napa Rose
Grill is not winning. Oh, Napa Rose.
Yes, Napa
Okay.
Rose.
So Napa Rose is
And it
not
had all the
winning any-
words of things like Napa. It had the word Napa in the maybe my expectations were too high. I don't know, but yeah, no.
Jody, it's just marketing, right? They got you. they got you to pay $1 million for a terrible meal because they named it Napa Rose, and
They
you're
did.
like, this is gonna be great, and it wasn't.
Never again.
So
I
that's
should have
sad.
known when the reservation was so easy to get. That should have been my cue to something was not right. Like I should have been like, why is this reservation for, 6
Yeah.
people so readily available? That doesn't seem like it should be. That should
And
have
that's
been
a
my
lot of people to sit together.
Mhm.
So
And there are
yeah.
a lot of empty seats around us too. We should have went to Panera, or we should have went to somewhere in downtown or downtown Disney. They had a lot of good places there. We could
They
have
did.
but I'm gonna tell you, John, and as we go deeper into this review, I think you're gonna see more and more of the differences in Disney World from a, we want you to be happy to Disneyland, where it's the mindset of just getting where you fit in.
That is so interesting to me because I know I've heard a lot of that in like online forums and stuff too. Because I've never spent a significant amount of time at Disneyland. We went for a day trip once, and that was or twice, and that was really it. So I'm really excited to hear more about this.
No, you're not.
No,
Well, I'm
well,
sorry to start us off on a bad note, but I just I counted it up out of all, and it depends on who you ask, how many signature restaurants there are at Disney World. I think we've been to pretty much all of them but 3. So it's not that we're unfamiliar with signature restaurants. We like them, right? This is what we do. And this was the bottom of the barrel, the worst of the worst. In all categories, service, food, value, the whole kit and caboodle. It was not good.
so how was their wine list though, Jody? With it
Oh,
being
Oh,
in
the wine
California?
list.
Uh-oh. Did
The
I just
wine list was
I love
phenomenal.
that you're fired up. Oh, okay.
The wine
was.
list was a book but I had to ask repetitively for them to leave the wine list with me so I could flip through it. Like you can't give me a 40-page wine list and expect me to like digest it in 1 minute. Like I want to peruse it and read it and digest it. And the wine list
Well,
was
and
phenomenal.
you didn't have any professional help, right? Of someone directing you on where to go with that, right?
The
Because they didn't have
sommelier
this.
never came to our table one time, nor
That's
did a
insane.
manager or anybody. No one ever stopped by our table once.
Man. Well, this is off to a great start. So Wednesday night after dinner, did you guys go to the parks or do anything else, or just kind of go back and all right, everybody kind of rested?
yeah, I grabbed an Uber, went back to the Marriott, Spring Hill. Mhm.
So now we're going into Thursday. So
Yes.
Thursday, Kevin, what time did you arrive Thursday?
It was about 10 in the morning, around
Oh, okay.
10.
So you got in early. Did you guys meet up to go to the expo?
We did.
Mhm.
All right. So what was your impressions of the expo? Lonnie, how is the expo compared to what we normally see with a race expo at Disney World?
Yeah, it's a lot smaller. It's in a Disneyland hotel, basically, right? So it was the first time back in 7 years for the races. A lot of excitement. So I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna give grace to Disneyland because they are actually kind of just getting back into the swing of things. So my expectation is it will get better moving forward. I didn't have a problem with the expo. The weather was really good. So, we lined up outside. We met Jeff there. I don't know. I was trying to think. I can't remember why.
Yes,
I was
because
somewhere
Bonnie,
different.
you and Sarah and Tim and I went to Disneyland first.
We were
Like,
there.
all of us, Jeff and Riley, all of us were together at Disneyland first. We all went to Disneyland. We did all those fun photos. And then Jeff and Riley left to go to the expo. And we went and got beignets, remember?
That's what I couldn't remember why
Sorry,
we
Jeff.
weren't together at that point, but we did get and the beignets, great, right? So hanging out there was great. And I'm going to put the separation because the parks are still great, right? So love Disneyland Park for what it is, right? I mean, you're walking to places where Walt walked, right? So the park is great. So for the expo, you go back there, everything's in a couple of different rooms, and how they have it, you have to, you get in line with your expo pass, you go into the expo, they line you up here, but then you have to leave out to go upstairs to get your bib and go downstairs back to get your shirts. So there's a lot of crisscrossing that you have to do there. But for merch, if you're into merch, they had a good little bit of merch. They kept refilling at all times. So the checkout was smooth. But it's just a lot of crisscrossing with a lot of people and a lot of lines to get everything that you needed.
And you think that was just due to the limited space? It's different than having two separate giant buildings like we do at Disney World?
Oh yeah, because you go to Disney World, you go pick up your bibs here, and then they have separate spots for different bibs, right? Dopey's here, you go here, there, and then you go out, you get into another line to go and get the Run Disney merch, and then there's another section for all the vendors. Well, they didn't have all of that there, so it's they kind of had the official merchandise, right? And then you go out, you get your bibs, you go back down, you get your shirts, and then that's kind of it. It's a very small area that you get your the vendors were in. It's kind of like it's just like a curtain that separates them, right? So it's not a lot. But overall, I think it was a smooth little, once you get through that, right, all the lines, because we didn't want a lot of merchandise. I think we got what we wanted to get, and we were out there in 2 hours, I think. And
you said we didn't want a lot of merchandise. I'm pretty sure Riley brought home.
Well, that's different. Riley went with a purpose. She shops. She's an angry shopper. She's like, I'm getting this, right? So yeah, it's a little different. Jeff didn't want a lot of merchandise.
No.
But
Jeff paid for a lot of merchandise, I'm assuming.
Jeff did not. Riley saved her money. She knew what was coming.
Wow.
Yep.
That's impressive.
And Kevin, to this day, I'm still kicking myself. So I was buying a magnet for someone else, and I go up to the checkout, and I actually had two of them stuck together, the magnets. I was like, oh, wait, I'm sorry. I only wanted one in the magnet. And I put the magnet back. And poor Kevin has been on the search for the magnet. And I'm so bummed because I actually had two in my hand and didn't think that I needed to. And so I gave one back. So I'm annoyed with myself with that. But I would say that the one big thing that we probably should address real quick is the reason we went to the parks that morning first is because your Genie Plus doesn't activate until you tap into a park.
Yes.
So that's why we all went into the park first. So Jeff, Riley, Lonnie, and I, and Sarah W, not Sarah K, all went into Disneyland Park, and we took pictures of the train station, Walt statue, and partner statue. We actually rode a couple rides. We rode Mr. Toad and Casey Jr. We all squished into the train. We rode.
We almost got train jacked by that little kid. Remember, he wanted our train.
Yes,
we got the thing. He was like, I don't want that one.
Did you fight him off?
I just told him, keep moving, kid. I'll wait to the next one.
Yeah, good. Can't
Yeah,
let those kids feel entitled.
Let me tell you something, man. I believe in teaching kids valuable lessons. That kid learned 2 lessons that day. Number 1, get used to disappointment. And number 2, life is hard.
Those are 2 very valuable lessons.
Everybody doesn't get a trophy at Disneyland. No. Not with LG.
I will say that's the first time we saw roaming characters too. It was like 8 something in the morning, and we saw Pocahontas and we saw Toy Story characters just like roaming around, and they would just stop and take pictures with you. So that's awesome. So that's what Jeff and Riley had already gone to the expo, and we were totally goofing off. Now you know the truth, Jeff. Why because we also needed beignets. So
I want to explore that a little further. Now the beignets are over in French Quarter area, right? Or So
New Orleans Square.
Or New Orleans Square, sorry, yeah. So how do those compare to what you'd get at Port Orleans French Quarter over at Disney World?
Not quite as good. I don't think they were quite as good.
Really?
I don't like the dipping sauces that came with them. At French Quarter, you get that chicory chocolate sauce that kind of goes with it, and they didn't have that option available. They were okay, but I think French Quarter were better.
I agree. French Quarter's better.
Now, did any of you try the mint julep that they have there?
No.
It's non-alcoholic.
No, I know, but, which is a bummer. But at the same time,
I mean, it was 8:30 in the morning, so I understand why you asked that question, John. Because I mean, I'm sure I don't judge if somebody wants to get some alcohol at 8:30.
Hey,
that's 11:30 our time, Lonnie.
Yeah,
exactly. So,
vacations, hotel or airports, and golf courses. There's no rules.
No rules.
If you can get yourself a mint julep and it's delicious at 8 in the morning, you go for it. That's a great way to kick off a vacation day.
Yeah.
Not that I've done that.
So it's funny. Jeff texted us and said, "Hey, we're in line. We're moving to the next thing." And I was telling everybody we need to get going to meet Jeff. But then we had an opportunity to jump on another ride because didn't have a wait, so we jumped on that ride. So it's
You
We
almost
did a
got
lot of
left.
things early. We
You were about-
almost got left.
You were about 3 minutes from missing the expo.
Yeah, but we didn't miss it though. So there you go. We've maximized our time.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
We did all make the wise decision of after we went shopping at the expo and we got our bibs and our race day shirts and all that stuff. We decided to walk all the way back to the Hojo to drop all of our stuff off.
And
We
then
did
that-
not make such wise decisions.
And that's when I ran into everybody.
Okay, so that's what I was going to say. That's when we finally met up with Kevin. So, Lonnie, you and Tim and I, we went back, right? Am I making this up?
No,
You did.
we did
I
not
know.
make that wise decision.
Yeah,
Okay.
we went back, but Jeff kept powering through.
With
And I
the
They went back.
luggage tote of
I dropped off
merchandise.
my bags at Jody's, and then I went to the expo, and I couldn't get into the Run Disney merch area. It was all gone. But I was able to get my shirts and bibs and all that, and then I got a sandwich at Downtown Disney, and then hung out around there until I ran into them later. So
Okay, this is the big breaking news I need to let everyone know. At approximately 1:37 Pacific time, Lonnie had his very first corn dog of the trip. You can mark it on your calendar for those of you playing bingo.
Wow.
1:37 p.m.
1:37 in the afternoon. Lonnie, that's some willpower to wait that long.
Well, it is, and thank you for recognizing that, John, because I told you I wanted about 6 of them, but we had to go to the expo, and there was a line for corn dogs. So finally, I was able to get my corn dog, and I kept telling people, I got a goal. I got a stretch goal of 8 corn dogs. I didn't hit that stretch goal, but I did get that one at 1:37.
I had 3. What was your limit?
I got 4 total.
Okay.
Now, so I didn't hit my goal. But Jeff, I told you I love them. What did you think about?
Oh, they were fantastic.
Good.
Yep.
Good. Mm-hmm.
The cornmeal fried greatness to hot dog ratio, second to none.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Now, are we talking like all beef hot dogs here,
Yeah.
or okay? I wasn't sure if it's California, right? It could be a veggie dog. I don't know.
I mean, it could have been koala. I don't know, but they're good.
And they got a
Oh, I love
How
that
many corn dogs did you get?
0.
No corn dogs.
No, you'll hear about that later on the
Uh-oh.
next episode.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. Nice.
right,
I like that we're mixing the East Coast and the West Coast. We started talking about Biggie. Now you're talking about Dre. I like it.
Oh, y'all forgot about Dre.
We left Disneyland to go over to DCA in the afternoon. And we hung out with Joe Fickus for a little bit, who was telling us all sorts of really cool stuff when we were over there, like about the Hulk tree and it was pretty interesting. And then Kevin, Lonnie, Tim and I, Gene wasn't there. We then left DCA and went back over to Disneyland Hotel to go to Trader Sam's. So I'll let you guys talk about that a little bit, because that was also interesting.
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin. That was your.
So that was my first,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, Disney, real Disney thing, other than going and getting my bibs and all. But we waited in line, and so I got there early. They were coming over. I didn't have a ticket that day for the park, so I was just kind of hanging out in the area. And then when they got over, we put our name on the list.
No. We had reservations.
We had reservations,
At
but
2:55.
it seemed like we didn't have reservations because we waited a really long time, and it was like, your table's almost ready, your table's almost ready, your table's almost ready, and then it was almost ready, and then it wasn't ready, and then it was ready.
How long did you wait, do you think?
It's kind of like that Uber with
I
Kevin.
have the timestamps. So our reservation was at 2:55. We got there at 2:50, and we got sat at 3:33.
Yeah,
Wow.
It was a pretty long wait.
Well, I guess
And-
it's good that they take reservations, though, because I mean, in the grand scheme of things, a half hour or 40 minutes isn't too bad for Trader Sam's. It's somewhat.
I think you're thinking Trader Sam's in Disney,
Disney World.
where yes, that's. But if you have reservations and your expectation is to be in there at that time, and they keep telling you, it's almost ready, it's almost ready, it's almost ready. Yeah, it's not ready. Then
Have you guys ever been to a doctor? That's how I feel like every time I go to the doctor.
The worst.
My appointment was at 1. Okay, we'll see. It's 3:20.
But
You can come back now.
it's different than a doctor because you know you don't really want to be there. And this one we
true.
wanted to go in, and it's like you can't go in yet, and it's like, oh come on, you know, just let us in the door.
It was cool. So we did get seated at the bar, actually at the bar stools. Lonnie, why don't you tell them about your special seat?
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna say this, John. This is the separation because you go a lot to Trader Sam's as well. Trader Sam's there, they didn't have the excitement or some of the things that they usually do at Disney World. Like when you order a drink, most of the time nothing happens. The only thing that was happening was number one, every now and then, maybe every 10 or 12, 15 minutes, the guy behind the counter starts shooting water up in the air. So my food would get wet. And I tell him, I say, dude, we need to come up with something else. And then my chair would go down, right? So the chairs goes, you know, it's just like the bar. It goes down and goes up, right? And that was just it. So we had the chair going down and I had water in my food. That was the two things that happened there. Now, the food was good. The
food was good, yeah.
And nothing wrong with the guys. But, I mean, they were just so busy. I don't think they had time to put the effort in to do all the things that they do at Disney World. So it was kind of
only that one drink.
And it was one drink that they shoot water at you.
There's only one drink, and it was the I guess it was the Krakatoa drink, and that's the only
like a zombie that walked over where he kind of like drags his leg walking.
They didn't do none of that. None of that. You know what they did? They sprayed water at you.
Yeah,
that's what they did.
That's all. They spray water all over you. And
at one point I was like, why you keep shooting this water in my food? That's what you're doing on purpose now, man. I mean, just, I just, I don't know, man. I don't know. So yeah, it is, it's smaller than the lounge at Disney World.
It doesn't look like that.
Mm-hmm. So it's
when you're outside, it's like, wow, this is so much bigger, but it's not.
It's kind of reverse TARDIS for the Doctor Who fans. It's literally smaller on the inside.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so,
and I mean, it's not like Trader Sam's is huge at Disney World.
Exactly. So take half of that.
Huh. Wow.
Take half of that, the inside, and that's what you got.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. You guys are not. I'm not ready to book a trip to Disneyland right now after this discussion.
Okay, I gave a scoring because I told you gentlemen to come up with scores and none of you did your homework. So I gave it an ambiance of a 7. The service was a 6. Not that they were bad. It was just really hard to get their attention. They just needed, I think, more servers. They were working their tail end off, but like you couldn't, like if you wanted to order another drink, you were like, hello, may I please?
Like college bar.
I thought the food was really good. I gave it a 7. We had the eye tunable and the pot stickers and the long beans. They were good. So I give it a value as a 6. I'm glad I went. I'm glad I checked it out. It's very calm. Very.
It calm. Is. It's not as excited. And that was it. I think after that we kind of we called it a night because we had an early 5K.
We rode Space at 6:28. So I don't know how we got there.
We did ride Space. Yeah, that was it.
All right, so now we're Thursday night. Everybody's going back to the rooms, getting ready for the race. So we've got an early wake up call on Friday morning then, right?
Yes.
And okay, so it's a similar style to Disney World where they're starting the races at 5 to get everybody kind of through the parks early, right? Mm-hmm. So what time did you guys wake up and how did you get from the hotel to the race start line? Because the start line's in the park, correct?
Yeah, man. So we had to actually go to the bus stop, and just like at a regular Disney World race, we just went to the bus stop. I don't know. It was so early, I was dreaming. Now we just walked to it, John. It was right up the street. We all just had our Ducks jersey. We all met up at what time? 3:30.
3:30, wasn't it, or 3:15?
Mm-hmm. I was in cruise control at that point, so I don't remember. But and then we just all walked over. And
we had a whole group of us because Rick and Allie walked with us, and Jean and Julie were with us at that point as well. Or not Jean, Joe and Julie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we all just kind of rolled over there. And I'm gonna tell you, man, it's the 5K. This is probably my favorite start line for a 5K. So, like I said, John, so the eating so far was not stellar, yet But I'm going to tell you, the race, at least that 5K and 10K, and I guess we'll get the 10K next time. I really enjoyed the 5K because the start was actually on Main Street.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I
It
think
was.
the start on Main Street was fantastic. I think the logistics to get the start process needs some help.
Yeah.
I agree with you on
I
that.
agree.
And I think we'll just give them that bit because it's been so long since he's been there, right? But I think they'll get it straight moving forward. But it, getting, and what Jeff is referring to is just getting through security and everything to get lined up, because it was a long wait to get us in. But once you got in, I mean, they had all the lights on. It was great. And they had a nice little show, and how they started the races were pretty good as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So were the corrals set up then along Main Street going back from the castle?
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
So,
But they never released in waves. It was Corral A, all of A goes at once. Corral B, all of B goes at once. It was interesting.
Do you
It was
think that was a smooth process, or was that too
No.
many people going
There's
at
a
once?
lot of people released at once,
yeah.
and especially with bottlenecks and
Okay, so it wasn't like super small corrals then.
no.
No, not at all.
They released the whole Kraken.
Wow.
The Corral C started probably about the partner statue, and I would guess went almost to the end of Main Street, or fairly close. At least it seemed.
Okay. That's
Now we're in a good spot where we were. I guess we got there so early. We were in the front of that, so we were right at the beginning of Main Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they did the little special welcome back and did the things with the fireworks shooting around like down one side of Main Street, up the other side thing. I mean, it was really, really cool. So it was, excited to be back there for that.
And the only morning for fireworks, that should be said. The only time we have fireworks is 5K.
Yep.
Because you're inside the park,
Right.
basically.
okay. So this is the only race that started inside the park?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So looking at the map, it looks like you went from the start line, you went back behind the castle to the back of the park, right?
Mhm.
And then you kind of went through some more of
Toontown, right?
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Is that where it went? Toontown,
Galaxy's
and then-
Edge too.
Yeah, it was completely in the
that's
park. It had, and I'm gonna tell you, there were some times in some places because we stopped for a picture here and there, but we stopped for our main picture was the second character stop when we all waited for a long time.
We stopped for Goofy. I don't have
Max.
a timestamp on that. We stopped at 5:52 at the Haunted Mansion. We saw the security dog Connie at 6:01. We saw Bolt at 6:21.
Cruella was after Bolt, but the line might have been cut by then.
I don't think we stopped for Cruella.
They stopped the line by then. I mean, but there are some parts behind when there was nobody but us running, right? You'll see one person here, one person there, because to Jeff's point, they let everybody out at one time. So
You wait
if
20
didn't
minutes
stop
for
for
one.
Goofy, everybody just kept
The
going.
entire
So-
field passed.
Yeah, so everybody was passing. I was like, I think we're at the end of the race here. I think
Yeah, they had the guy like with the trash can sweeping up the horse stuff behind us.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the back. So,
Oh yeah.
So instead of balloon ladies, they have horse pooper picker uppers.
It's
That's how they sweep.
Yeah.
Wow, that's aggressive, but I like it.
you get hit with that broom and you start moving too.
We
I
did
refuse.
we did stop for Pluto. He was our last character. It was a selfie, and we were getting yelled at pretty bad by the cast members. They were not happy with us at all. And there was a big group of us, and they didn't want us to stop, but there was a character, and we paid for the race to run and see the characters. So we stopped and got a picture with Pluto right before the finish line. So
Why didn't they want you to stop?
Because I think they wanted us to get out of the park because the park was opening pretty soon.
Were you the last ones?
We weren't the last ones.
We were pretty close. By the
We might have been 10 from the last. I don't know.
they all ran ahead. I was a little slow for the race, so me and Rye caught up. They all waited for us at mile 3, and then we all finished together. So
Okay. So was this different then? Because I mean, at Disney World, people are doing hour-long 5Ks, right, and stopping at all the characters.
we were
Was
up there.
this different than that?
Yeah,
or-
we're up there.
this was
No,
like
we
a
took our
2 hour
time.
long.
Yeah, we walked it. I mean, we walked. Let me just tell you something. The whole 5K was inside the park. The park is great, right? So you have a whole 5K now. You're seeing some things, and yeah, you're behind scenes a lot. But when you in the park, and not behind the scenes. I mean, it's just great. Had all the lights on and all that kind of good stuff. So it was, you wanted to take your time. I'm sure somebody wanted to run fast, but it wasn't us.
So for me, this is before I'd ever first time to California, first time to Disneyland, first experience in Disneyland was the 5K. So different than Disney World. So I'd never seen anything in the park ever, and I'm doing it as I'm doing the 5K. It's probably one of my my favorite 5K of all time as far as when we were in the park area, just because there's so much to see, and I'm just trying to take it all in. And it's very different than when you go to a park for the first time and you're there for the park. You're not there for a race. So I saw a lot of things that I wanted to do. I'm like, oh, I want to come back and do that. But you're kind of there for the race. So I like it better than the Disney World 5K.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
I like being in the park. Yeah.
And that is a unique way to see the park for the first time too. That's pretty cool. Because I imagine most people wouldn't get that experience, right? Because they haven't done these races in 7 years. Nice. All right. So
it's so cool, lit up at night. I mean, it just really is so cool. And that's where we kind of finished around that route. You kind of went around Pixar Pier towards Incredicoaster and around. So it's really cool to be in that area all lit up.
That's sweet. So the finish line over in California Adventure, right? And you said it was right by kind of Pixar Pier and stuff.
It's by Little Mermaid, yeah.
Okay. Did they have anything special at the finish line, or did you get the plastic cheese?
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Got the cheese.
But they didn't have like little step and repeats where you hold the I did it signs. They didn't have any of that at the end. There was
Wow. Okay.
It was cold that day too.
It was cold every day.
Very few PhotoPass photographers the entire race series, but very few. We did get some great finish line photos. I think we should be really happy about that, because from what I'm hearing from other people, a lot of people didn't get finish line photos at any of their races. So we got great shots of us flying in the Flying V. So that was awesome.
The big difference with those two are, though, they were taking it ground level versus at Disney World where they're kind of up and they're kind of down on you. These were taking ground level pictures. So even the angle and perception of it's off differently.
Yeah.
But to Jody point, they didn't have a lot of PhotoPass photographers like along the course either, right? So there are few and far between for the 5K, 10K, and the half.
Wow.
Right. So
okay, so an area of improvement for Disney for next time. Let's add some PhotoPass guys in there. All right. So anything else that you guys want to share from your experience on the 5K?
No, I think it's my favorite. Yeah, favorite 5K. It's good to get back and hang out with Jeff and Riley and Jody and Kevin, because we haven't been together in a long time. And Tim, who I had a blast hanging out with Tim the whole time as well. So it was just getting back together, man. It's just you miss everybody, right? So we all was there in the 5K. It was cool. Like I said, it was cold that morning, so Tim didn't care about wearing the jersey, because in Disney World that jersey tried to smother us from the heat. So it was just cool just being out there with everybody.
It's nice picking up friends too, because Rick and Allie joined us for that.
Yes.
Jake was there with us for that too. So it's nice having their friends with us.
Julie, we had a princess with us. Julie, our princess.
Yeah, Julie.
So it was great. We had a nice big group. I mean, we must have had 12
10 of us.
people.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was great.
That's awesome. That sounds really
fun.
And
the day got better. So
yeah. So then after the 5K race, it's still really early, right? We're talking like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Did you guys go to the park the rest of the day, or how'd the rest of the day go?
We had our first good meal.
Oh, okay. Let's hear about this, Jody, because we need some positivity back on the dining front.
Fantastic, huge group dining experience with all sorts of friends at Storyteller.
How many of us?
What?
How many were there?
Jody, Tim, Lonnie, Kevin, Riley, Ben, Sarah Kay and her parents, Rick, Allie, and Katie. And it was Katie's 30th birthday.
Yep.
Add that up. That's who was at our
and count Katie 1.5.
Yeah, Katie.
So there you go. So yeah.
Oh yeah, because Katie
Let me just say
that
that was the best meal the whole time. that restaurant was phenomenal. The character interaction. I left there saying, you know what, that's probably the best breakfast I had at not even just Disneyland, but Disney World as well.
I
It was
agree.
great.
And what
Great.
was it called? Fairy tale or storytell?
Storytellers.
Storytellers.
It's where
And where-
Jeff ate Tuesday night.
Okay.
Right, correct.
And this was in where? Downtown Disney?
No,
It's inside. No, it's inside the Grand Californian.
it's
Oh.
right next door to Napa Rose.
Oh, so you had, yeah, okay. Did that bring back some anger as you were walking by Napa
No,
Rose?
No,
no.
because they had thick bacon and good food, and it was a buffet, and characters, Minnie and Chip and Dale and Mickey and Pluto, and the characters came around 500 times, and the food was really, really good.
Oh, food was phenomenal.
Our server was good, like everything. It was. I would absolutely, positively do that one again.
It's how a meal is supposed to be at Disney. That's it. I mean, you put it in, and somebody asked me for, hey, for a review of that one, I'm gonna say you can't miss. Go, please go. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I said I gave it my scoring, since again I'm the only one who did the homework. I gave it an ambiance as a 7, service as an 8, food as a 9, and value as a 9. So
I did my homework too. All my scores just matched Jody's.
Mine too.
Same.
Mine too. I
And,
wasn't even there.
and even service, I might even bump it up a little bit because they were so accommodating to our inability to tell them how many people were there.
Jeff,
Yeah, that was great.
And they broke everybody's checkup. It was crazy.
Yes.
yes, we all got
Not
our.
like everybody got their own thing, right? I mean, we had a bunch of people, so a lot of couples, a lot of everybody, and everybody just really. It was just good. It was just a good atmosphere, good time. I mean, and then they had a lot of lizards eating there as well at other tables, right?
Yes.
So I was
They
able to
were
run
very
over there
busy
and talk to some lizards, and it was just great.
That's awesome.
It was great.
All right, so that's a good start to the day. You got a really fun 5K through the parks, got an awesome breakfast. Now, Kevin, did you make it into the parks that day?
We did. Right after breakfast, we went, or right before breakfast, we tapped in, right?
Yes. California Adventure.
Okay.
Grand
sure you
Californian has an entrance to California Adventure. So
Yeah,
we
it's
walked in, we
separate.
tapped in, and walked right back out.
Right. And so
Okay,
then
just to
after
get your
breakfast,
Genie Plus going.
we didn't. I can't remember what we did. Did we go straight into the park, or did we go back to the hotel?
No, we went straight in. We rode Roger Rabbit, Guardians. We paid for a lightning lane for cars. We had
That's right.
drinks and snacks at Pim Test Kitchen. We saw Phil and Nancy. You guys met Iron Man. That made you all
yeah.
very.
A couple of times. We met
So,
him a
okay,
couple
so
of
this is a good thing to talk about.
Ant-Man too. I meant, speaking of the characters that walk around, I was going to see Black Panther, and then I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I was able to get selfies with them just right there. Really cool.
That's awesome. So that's something that we don't have on the east side, right? Is we can't have the Marvel characters that have been in movies before, whatever that point is contractually.
Mhm.
So that's pretty awesome.
Mhm.
That you guys got to see.
and they roam there, which is pretty
They're just
cool.
walking around.
I mean, they just walk around, right? I mean, the guard, Black Panther's guard, was walking around. They did a little show.
Mhm.
So I mean, they just walking, and like Iron Man came and went in the back to charge up his battery or whatever, came back out, and he just hung out and kind of talked to me, Kevin, and Tim for a while, right?
And
just,
it's not.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's not like the stormtroopers where they have pre-programmed statements and that kind of thing. He actually interacts with you. It's really cool. Ask you questions and responds whatever you say. I mean, it's really, really, really neat. Got to give Spider-Man a high five, which was fantastic. Love that.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
We did web slingers.
Web slingers. Yep, that was fun.
I got my Baymax bread, which we were calling Bread Max for the rest of the time. We rode Incredicoaster. We saw Mr. Incredible. We had some fun with the Pixar ball. Riley and Jeff played some games.
I had some popcorn.
I did, yeah. And
I got some popcorn. I went for it, man. I said, you know what? I'm going for the popcorn.
I'm nervous to hear how the 10K goes now, Lonnie.
And then we finished our night with our second amazing meal, and by far my favorite server who we had the entire trip. So in DCA, we went to Carthay Circle Lounge, not the restaurant. The restaurant's upstairs. We went to the lounge on the first floor. we had a server by the name of James, and he was the best server I think we've had.
He was awesome.
He was amazing. He was doing voices for us. He was able to split checks. He was recommending perfect food and pairings and drinks. And their food menu was great. Their drink menu was great. We were at these tiny little tables, and yet he got everything all figured out. Like, I wanted to bottle this man and like take him with us to all the rest of the restaurants because he was phenomenal. He was great.
Jody is not exaggerating either. I mean, this guy would make McDonald's feel like a signature restaurant. I mean,
his Disney knowledge and how he just interacts. And just
yeah.
So basically, our 5K meals were great. So that day, if you look at it, those days the restaurants did not disappoint. So maybe that's the thing, right? Maybe Napa started us where we're feeling, but they picked up big time with those 2 sit downs that we had.
Well, and if you're going to go with a trend, that's the trend you want to go with, right? Where it's getting better and better.
It was, I'm not kidding you when I'm saying this. It was the best chicken dish I think I've ever had at a restaurant ever. Like any restaurant, anywhere ever. The best chicken dish that I had. And the prices were really fair because it was a lounge. It wasn't a restaurant. They were small plates. I mean, we were all kind of crammed in these 2 little tables, but it made it quaint and comfortable, and it was cold outside, so it was nice to have body heat and be close to everybody. But man, this guy James, like, I'm telling you, if you are going to Disneyland, go to Carthay Circle, ask for James, and go every night and ask for him to be your server because he's phenomenal.
And definitely get the chicken. I'm telling you that is probably the best chicken I've ever had.
Yeah.
See,
it was fantastic.
And we ran into Scotty G and Mike there as well, and they had James, and it was like, oh, he's great, right? So he was awesome.
That's great. James is going to have a line of lizards waiting for him every race weekend.
He should.
So, what was this chicken dish that you guys got?
It was
now I'm
just,
intrigued.
I don't know, like.
I just got pasta and added chicken, and I'm thinking it's going to be just like a little chicken strip or something. It's an entire chicken breast on my pasta. I'm like, at a lounge you don't expect that. I mean, it was like a full meal. I mean,
it was the same chicken that I had, but he had it on his pasta, and I'm telling you, it was delicious.
Fantastic.
I think he was free range, John. That's what it was.
Well, yeah, I would hope so.
I don't know what they did to that chicken, but
he must have been free ranging and kind of rode. He lived a good life. He lived a good life.
Was it grilled?
And he gave it all for our.
It was grilled, and it was not dry whatsoever.
Correct.
Wow.
It was.
All right, now I'm back to wanting to go to Disneyland. You guys this was quite a road we took to get here, but I love it.
There were 4 bumps in the road, and I wish I could tell you that was the end of the bumps, but we hit some other craters too. But
well, I mean,
caution runners, bumps.
No, literally, it was
that was a bump that was hit because they never said that. I tripped over a speed bump backstage because they did not have caution runners speed bumps ahead.
They did not.
And I'm gonna tell you, Disneyland took a lot from me. It took a lot from me, and
I don't know that Disneyland took a lot, or the girls in the ride behind us took a lot from you.
One of the two. I tell you, it did, and that's 5K days when I kind of gave up one of my Ducks hats, and my DJI Pocket Osmo recorder. Both of those.
On Dinosaur, or no, on Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Oh.
You know, the funny thing about that is, this is the thing. So we rode Indiana Jones twice, right? The first time we went straight through, and I caught the end of the show, right? So the second time we rode it, I watched the whole show, and it tells you on the whole show, many things are lost on this ride. So you need to, do this with it. And I didn't catch that the first time. And that's one of the things, but I think those girls that got in the car after us, they probably got it, but I can't prove that.
Well, hey, now we're spreading the duck love, right? They got themselves a nice Disney with the Ducks hat. They can.
Well, no, they didn't get that. Space Mountain got the hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lonnie was just leaving bits and pieces of Lonnie all over. He just wanted to make sure that they remember.
Like a trail of breadcrumbs.
I'm sure we have probably got some new followers because of that. It was like, let's go look up this Disney with the Ducks podcast. See what's going on.
Brilliant marketing. Yeah, I love it. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to talk more in next week's episode about the 10K and the half. So we'll get some more thoughts and some more of the group's experiences in the Disneyland parks and in Southern California on our next episode. But for now, let's move into quacking up with the ducks so that we can give people what they really want, which is some giggles. All right, Kevin, let's start with you. Do you have a joke for us tonight?
Yeah. So, how did Benjamin Franklin feel whenever he discovered electricity?
I know.
I think I got it.
He was
How,
shocked.
Kevin? Oh, I love it. Jeff, can you make us giggle?
Sticking to the dog theme of the 5K day, do you know why dogs are such bad dancers?
I literally was going to give this joke. Yes, I do, Jeff, but can you tell us?
Because they have 2 left feet.
Yeah. Man. That's there's not a whole lot of dog jokes out there, to be honest.
No.
You would think there are, but there's not. All right, Jody, can you
Well,
quack us?
we mentioned that it was really, really cold in California, and it was. I mean, Jeff was still in shorts and t-shirts, but the rest of us were all bundled up. So made me think, how do you warm up in a cold room?
Well,
You go to the corner, it's always 90 degrees.
that is a good one. I really like that. That's one of my go-tos, to be honest. Kids don't like it. I don't get it. I think they just don't understand the math behind it. Darn public schools.
Math is hard. It's Common Core. It's Common Core.
It is, yeah. Oh boy. All right, Lonnie, can you make us quack up?
Probably not. But question for you guys: why did the baby strawberry cry?
Why?
Because his mother was in a jam.
Oh.
Aw.
That's so sad.
That'd make a good Disney movie.
Yeah, you got it at the beginning. At the beginning of the story. Yeah.
Oh, good gosh. What kind of dog does Dracula have?
A bloodhound.
Yes, Jeff. We must have Googled the same thing.
Were you on the 21 Hilarious Dog Jokes website?
I'm on
You guys are-
zippypaws.com. 25 corny dog jokes that would make any dad proud.
It's the same website I was on. I think it was the first one that comes up.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, now we've let everyone in on the secret of how we come up with such amazing jokes. Man.
The Google
All right.
machine.
Well, yeah. Google knows all. That's why we don't want to anger it, and we want to tell it. Make sure we tell the machines thank you when they do things
Thank
for
you.
us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Always.
All right. So thanks everybody for listening. Please, just a reminder, go out and give us a 5-star review. It helps other people find us. It'll make us feel better about ourselves, which, then that should make you feel better about yourself for making us feel better. So just a whole chain of positivity there that can come out of that. So give us a review. Come join our Facebook group, Disney with the Ducks. And we'd love to see some of your pictures, some of your experiences from the 5K out in Disneyland for anybody that was there. And it sounds like we had a lot of our listeners out there. So looking forward to hearing what everybody else's experiences are and seeing some of the fun that everybody had with their families and with friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Gene's not here to give our disclaimer, so I'll give it. Just be nice to people this week. That's it.
That's perfect.
I like it.
Love it.
Yeah. All right.
Very good disclaimer.
Kwaharini, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
friends.